I'm Cari Peters, a recognized thought leader in the Microsoft Dynamics community and a Microsoft MVP for business applications. Welcome to the Get Your New View podcast. Keep listening to learn how we work with frustrated Business Central and NAV users who struggle to use their system and find the answers that they need. We teach them to truly understand how the system can support their business processes to make immediate and lasting improvements. As a result, they get more done in less time, make better business decisions, and even love their system.
Hey, Cynthia, I have a tough one for you today.
Okay, go for it.
The topic is security and permissions, and I'm sure you've heard by now that user groups are going away.
Yeah, little birdie told me. Yeah.
I've had a lot of people calling me, and they're worried because they don't understand what's going to happen to their user groups or how they can transition these to whatever it needs to be transitioned to. So I've just kind of filled them in a little bit, but I said, you know what, let me talk to Cynthia because she's really that permissions guru and she's done some extensive work with this new change. So how would you explain this to the customers or anyone who's going through this transition?
All right. Well, first of all, this one's a little bit tough to explain without graphics, et cetera. So I'm going to do the best that I can. We have user groups that are going away. And a lot of people think that the security groups that have been added are replacing the user groups. Well, that's not entirely the case. Basically, what's happening is user groups are going away. And what they added to the whole permission structure and hierarchy for us is being replaced in part by security groups and in part by the new composable permission sets that we have. I'm not going to talk too much about security groups because that's something that is tied to your Microsoft Entra ID, and it's handled at the Microsoft 3 or the M365 level and linked then in BC, et cetera, et cetera. That's like not podcast material. I'm just saying right now. However, this whole thing about what to do with user groups, if you use the assisted setup or use the feature management actually that runs like a wizard, like assisted setup, we have the capability of using that tool to convert our user groups to either permission sets that would then have all of the permission sets that were under the user group assigned to them, or to just deal with it kind of like a flat transfer. And this is the part where it's hard to explain without a graphic. But what I have found is that these composable permission sets, if I had a user group that was called AP specialist, let's say, and that user group had 5 different permission sets assigned to it. When I use the assisted setup conversion tool, I can say that I want that user group to be converted to a permission set, and that permission set will be AP specialist, and it will have referenced permission sets that are the permission sets that were assigned to the user group. Great. One-to-one relationship. I had a user group with permission sets. I now have a permission set with permission sets.
Okay.
All right. Does that make sense?
It does. So I'm just thinking, what if they don't use the assisted setup to do this conversion? What happens then?
You don't have to use the assisted setup. You could start from scratch with your permission sets, but you need to realize that the user groups are going to go away. Eventually, they're going to be deprecated. You're not going to have a choice. It's not going to affect the permission sets that were assigned to those user groups. But if I have, let's talk about that AP specialist. I have an AP specialist with a user group assigned, and that's it, just that user group. That user group put those permission sets on. The user group gets deprecated, right? So the user group goes away, so that user group is no longer assigned to that user. That user now has no permissions.
So Business Central, Microsoft won't do the conversion for you when they deprecate the user groups.
Not that I'm aware of. Maybe they will.
Okay.
I haven't seen anything on that. That's a very good question. But don't wait until that point.
Yeah, we can be proactive.
Right. Be proactive about it. And also, it's a great time to review all your user groups and your user permissions that are assigned. The last few projects that I've worked on with different customers, all very, very different businesses, different permission structures, different permission needs. We haven't really taken the user groups and converted them into permission sets. We've kind of taken the opportunity to reinvestigate the 𝗚𝗲𝘁 or the standard permission sets that have been offered to us by Microsoft, as part of our setup data, and considered using those and making a copy of those and building those out with some of the exclude capability that we now have in the composable permission sets.
Yeah, I was just thinking we should probably record a podcast about that, because I do think it's easier to specifically now exclude or include things that we maybe couldn't before.
It is. It is. And I think the last thing that I would say to you, Cari, is that we used to use the permission recorder a lot and loved it. And I want to almost say preached to using it. I am finding that I am very pleasantly surprised with how the new process is working with the composable permission sets in the projects that I am working on. So again, I'll leave you with, be proactive. Keep in mind that as you're working with the different users, that the user groups are not being replaced by security groups. They're being replaced by security groups and the composable permission sets. Don't wait until you're forced to make a decision. Take the time now to review your user groups, your user permission sets, and determine the best approach for your organization.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. So if you think you can handle us for more than 5 minutes, we have a lot more to share.
Check us out on learndynamics.com for on-demand training courses.
Did your team ever really get good training to understand how to use your business software? Do you think you could use more features of your software if you just knew how? Are you frustrated with inefficiency that never seems to get better? Do you suspect that there just has to be a better way, but you don't know what that is? We believe every company can benefit from increased efficiency and higher utilization of their software, and that it's possible to have fun while learning exactly how to do that. The experts at NewView Strategies work with frustrated Business Central and NAV users who struggle to use their system and find the answers they need. We teach them to truly understand how the system can support their business processes to make immediate and lasting improvements. As a result, they get more done in less time, make better decisions, and even love their system. Please contact us at getyournewview.com to get started.